machines in New Hampshire were off by more than 2 votes. The number of counts that were off by machine that were off by more than 2 votes exceeded the number of hand counts that were off by 2 votes by about 10 to 1. And those that violated by more than 1 vote, machines that miscounted by more than 1 vote, exceeded the hand counts that were off by 1 vote about 4 to 1. So clearly, if we have a constitutional right, and the Supreme Court has said so many times, that we have a right not only to count, to vote, but to know that our votes are being accurately counted, then you want to decertify those machines and not use machines anywhere else in the country for the rest of this, electoral cycle. And that's what basically this report says. We've had reports about, until now, we've had reports from MIT and Caltech and Princeton and Southern California, scientists, engineers taking a machine or two and investigating to see how susceptible they were to rigging and hacking and whatnot. But this is, thanks to Albert, this is the first statewide, real live test that we've had the opportunity to check the performance of these machines versus hand counting. So this is Albert Howard. Albert.
I just want to take a few brief moments, and certainly I want to just honor Bob Schultz and We the People. I want to honor you for your listening ear and your keen sense of what is important and what is vital for our country to survive. And I certainly have, in the past 4 to 5 to 6 weeks, I have really stood back and learned so much from Bob Schultz. It's important, I was told once, it's more important to listen. You don't learn anything by talking, but listening to this man, I've learned so much. It's just been something deep within inside me that said, just listen to what he has to say. And he's a very sensitive man spiritually. We've had very intimate times together, he and his, in the video, the cameraman, and just dinner. But I will say this, this recount would not have taken place without prayer and fasting. Bob and I have had a conversation about this, and I want you to listen to the spirit of that. I'm not going to have to explain that. I think you're going to catch that, but why am I the first African American to receive a New Hampshire primary recount and to submit an official petition of appeal to the New Hampshire Ballot Law Commission? I don't know. However, Bob and I can attest to feeling the weightiness and the heaviness of that mantle, that responsibility, when you have been given an opportunity. And that is what is very serious right now. There are certain people in America that have been given a certain amount of time to do a certain amount of things. And Bob Schultz is very aware of the timing issue that we have. There's not a lot of time. However, we are endowed by our Creator. And there is a God of the Constitution. And Bob is very sensitive to the spirit of the law and the letter of the law. And I really honor him. And I honor you. And what I would say before I take my seat is that what you need to do is to find your place. You need to find your DNA, your particular fingerprint in this situation. Because the founding fathers, they were brilliant. They were brilliant men. And it doesn't take much to advance the kingdom of truth. We're talking about truth and error. We're talking about a spirit of truth, basically, versus a spirit of error. This Constitution is the truth. And I have to say that I can remember standing at my computer. I can remember when I made the decision in my spirit to run for president. But the one person that lit the flame for me to run and pursue running for president was Aaron Russo. I was on his website. I can remember sitting in my computer room. My wife and I talked about it. She's like, freedom to fascism, Albert? You're going to put this up on your website? And my wife and I went back and forth, but she, to this day, she has been made very familiar with what's going on. We've all learned. You know, you could have never told me that I was going to be involved as deep as I, but this is a learning experience. I want to come away, I want you to come away learning and applying what the Founding Fathers have left for us. This is the evidence of what makes our nation brilliant. They left us something to reminisce. However, we cannot be effective if we don't take action. We must take action. We, the people, must take action. And that's really all I have to say. If you have questions, I don't know if you know, this is Bob's platform. I'm honored to be here, but if you have any questions, I mean, it's pretty obvious what happened, but it doesn't end here. You know, this is, you know, the recount, for whatever reason, Bob and I know this state of New Hampshire battled us. I mean, we saw fangs and things come out. I mean, we saw personalities and things with people, and this man, he's so brilliant. I've never seen a man that can interact with the Secretary of State. When Bob would walk in the room, and this is very serious, because I observed, you know, there are many of these observers were here as well. I see many of your faces, and I salute you, because you know what we went through. However, I want to say that the diplomacy, the Constitution has so much love. The motivation behind these men and what they did was love. And at the end of the day, we had a representative of love that stood up and interacted with the Secretary of State and showed love. You know, we love you. I want the state of New Hampshire and Massachusetts to know we love you, but we haven't forgotten our Constitution. This is at the end of the day, it boils down to, you know, we can't be responsible for what other people know or don't know about the Constitution, but there's a saying, once it enters your ear and you see it, once you hear it, you've made yourself responsible. The Constitution is like a vehicle. It's a car, but there are wheels on that vehicle, and that vehicle does not have the four wheels moving forward. Then the Constitution is stagnant. Of course, there is movement. The spirit of the Constitution, that's what I believe Mr. Schultz is articulating, is that the spirit of the Constitution is constantly advancing. There should never be a spirit of stagnation. So to answer your question, this must advance, and it will advance. The thing about what Mr. Schultz has attached himself to, and he and I have talked, he said that he, if I'm mistaken, you correct me, at 40 years old, you got the call to advance. No more stagnation. But my whole point is that there comes, again, and this is something that is between Mr. Schultz and his creator and my creator. There comes a time where you have to connect with your creator and ask him, are my wheels ready to advance? Am I equipped to do what you have created me to do? And this is what I had to ask myself. February 10th, 2005, my wife and I were married in Memphis, Tennessee. My wife is Swedish. I met her in Sweden. She's Swedish. We were married March 29th, 1995. However, in Memphis, Tennessee, February 10th, 2005, we went back to the place where the people allowed us to have our honeymoon in a very lavish home. And I had an open vision, February 10th, 2005. In this vision, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit were speaking, and Martin Luther King and I were there as well. I heard this conversation. And I'm not going to get into what the vision is, but I am going to say this. Within the next 30 to 60 days in our nation, you should be very, very sensitive to what's about to take place. Ron Paul, and this is another thing. Ron Paul is just the public persona of Ron Paul. What happens and what you see in public is just as important what happens with this man in secret. This man in secret, you need to pray for this man. In secret, the communication that we don't know and what's going on with he and his creator is very important, because what he's done, what has been done by Ron Paul has never been done. But we also have to be careful. In the Bible, God said, do not focus on you say you want a king. You have to be careful what you ask for. We must focus on what has kept this nation and what will keep this nation is the God of this Constitution. As far as leaders, you need a leader. You always need a conduit. You know, the Bible has always had a leader, but you need someone to connect and do and go forward. So that's all I have to say. I hope that I've articulated to Mr. Schultz, and I hope that you can sense that this man has attached himself to something that, in my opinion, is just as valuable as the Torah or the Bible. This is God's handprint. This is His signature. This is God speaking. This is God setting His man on certain men to make sure that we have to follow the rules. This is the rule book. This is the rule book. Let's get back to the basics. It's really simple. You know, we have the rule book, and let's just follow it. You know. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Howard.
Yes, ma'am. Hi, Joanne. How are you?
I know that you served the appeal to the recount in New Hampshire a week ago Friday, and I've seen an email that goes out asking people from Bob, asking people to write to the Board of Appeals in New Hampshire to contest certifying the vote. What's the window? What's the time frame on that? Do you have any idea?
Let me answer that and say this before I answer. I believe it's 14 days. Mr. Schultz can correct me. However, I received an email from the Assistant Attorney General, James Kennedy, just the other day. And we are on the edge of the precipice on the possibility of getting the hearing with the New Hampshire Ballot Law Commission. And I just felt chills when I said that, because Bob knows what we went through.
Yes.
He knows what we went through.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. Prayer and fasting. People, you don't care what people think anymore. You just do what you know is right. This is very serious. And I'm scared to not do the right thing. I'm afraid if I don't listen and do what I'm supposed to do. That's where I'm at. That's how far my gut has been dug, you know. And I don't mean to get emotional, but this is just the way that it is. And I'm going to sit down, but this is the way that it is. This is where we are in our history. And you will be held accountable for it. Thank you very much.
I just signed a copy of this final report. Dear Albert, thank you for your service to the Constitution and to our rights, freedoms, and liberties. Your friend.
Thank you.
Bob Schultz.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. My name's Daniel Hapney. This is The Real Story. With me today I have Mr. Albert Howard, and it turns out we're in Concord. Unlike some of us who were believing that we were in Lexington. But Albert, thanks first off for being on the show.
You're welcome.
And
You're welcome.
the people of Sharon, Massachusetts are going to be happy to know you once they get to meet you.
Okay.
What brought you here to Concord? And tell us a little bit about Albert and what's important to Albert and what you think that those people back in that lens should know, and what'll make them maybe better people. Go ahead. Tell us more about Albert.
Well, certainly the soil and the history of Colonial Inn speaks for itself. However, I was invited here today by Bob Schultz, We the People, to just briefly talk about my involvement as being the first African American to receive a New Hampshire primary recount, and to submit an official petition of appeal to the New Hampshire Ballot Law Commission. So basically I am still in this region awaiting the movement and the advance of the decision of the commission. We did submit an appeal.
Okay.
And however, prior to that, of course, I was in Concord, New Hampshire for several weeks with the recount taking place, and I was there and felt I had to be there every day. And
thank you, by the way.
Oh, you're welcome. And I was also happy to see many of the observers that were at that recount on behalf of the Republican recount were here in this meeting today, and that just really touched me,
Excellent. Many of my viewers may not even be aware that there was a recount in New Hampshire, and that that New Hampshire primary that, let's say, set the pace or set the mold or whatever you want to say for this present election period or whatever. Like I say, they're probably not even aware because their media, okay, unlike The Real Story, the show we do or whatever, doesn't always cover that. Once again, not really covered in the Boston Globe at any great extent, as you know, you live in the area now, but also too, even the major media didn't cover it and hasn't covered it.
Yes.
Like I say, the people of Sharon probably don't realize that, gee, there was, there were things, inconsistencies, let's say, with the voting up in New Hampshire for the primary.
There was, in fact, a recount. January 8th, I was a part of the thrust to make sure that the recount took place. $55,600 was submitted to the Secretary of State's office, William Gardner's office, and that commenced, and it just ended on February 11th. But still, there are many issues and many irregularities simply because of the relationship between the Diebold optical scanner machines and the paper trail, the hand-counted votes, even though New Hampshire is one of the...
what they call like chain of custody for the actual paper itself?
Absolutely, chain of custody,
yeah.
Exactly. So, and there's a lot of discrepancy that has taken place even in the protection and the integrity of those ballots in the office of the in Concord. That a lot of things, protocol wasn't followed. And
I found the stories where people were driving in excess of 90 miles an hour. Okay,
Yes,
with
yes.
ballots in their vehicles, meeting people in the
Yes.
interim stops or whatever. I found that very interesting. Also, too, now my listeners and stuff, or at least the wonderful people of Sharon, may or may not realize that was it that company? Was it LHS?
LHS Associates.
LHS Associates. That's right, Sharon. You should learn about LHS Associates. They are the ones who oversee the Diebold machines and have the contract in this case with New Hampshire.
Yes.
They may have it with Massachusetts. You all should check. Also, from what I understand, Connecticut, and I hear there's some problems they have in Connecticut as far as driving around with almost like ballot boxes. We'll call them memory cards for those Diebold machines. But yeah, I once again, I'm trying to give this just to the listeners, and you can go tell us about it. But that was evidently the people that run LHS are convicted felons. Now, you and I, as citizens of the United States, are allowed to vote as long as we haven't committed a felony, in which case we would lose our right to vote.
You're referring to Mr. Silvestro, I believe that's his name. That's
He
the one
has a
gentleman that
name.
has-
So these people that once again, that run the electronic voting machines or whatever, not only do they have names, but they have, let's say, criminal records, and been convicted of felonies, and yet they're allowed to run corporations that count our vote.
Absolutely. Wrong that they're allowed to do that, and that's good that you are broadcasting this, because people need to know that there's a reason why the media is it not exposing this story like it should be. There was a recount, and it didn't. Last one that happened was I believe, was done by Ralph Nader. I think Lyndon LaRouche was also, it might be historical significance there, but 1980 was the last time.
The other thing that these people may find important is that our faith that not only the electoral process works, but our votes actually get counted and get counted correctly is really important, because let's say our contract or our agreement with the government to be, quote, governed, okay, is the belief that, well, we get to choose at least those who govern. And when it's found that that's not always the case, that's like breaking part of the contract, which means the rest of the people aren't really, they don't have to hold up their end at this point. But the biggest thing, when you mention the media, I think the media keeps the I don't want to say fallacy just yet, but maybe I do want to say fallacy. The reason they may keep it going is so that doesn't happen. So that when the people are given some, I'm trying to use nice words and not upset my audience, but given some decree or some order from said government, they want to believe that they were elected. They want to believe that they represent them. And if it was turned out that they weren't truly elected and they weren't their true representatives, then maybe all that stuff that they've been doing in passing, okay, isn't the way it should be, and those people wouldn't follow it. That paradigm that this is the way it is and everything's okay, and don't look under the carpet and don't peel back the cover. Yeah, I believe that's almost a fear thing for them. That's me though. Yeah.
No, I think you've made some excellent points. I would say that at this stage of the game, we have the Constitution. That is here to protect us and to allow us to expose the things that are actually being hidden in that very valuable piece of document. And so what we want to do is we want to strategically educate the people and have them be informed about your obligation to submit requests to the governor of the state of New Hampshire, as well as Massachusetts, as well as the Attorney General, that we believe that this New Hampshire primary recount was not 100% constitutional at all. I mean, it was very much, in my opinion, I believe that it was rigged. It was fixed. I just have to say that. That's what's motivating me, because of just the spirit of just error, just the intent, the intentional way in which they're hiding and not answering basic.
That's what bothers me.
Basic concerns and questions that the American people have. They just skip over.
Well, the other part that bothers me, and I try to raise to my viewers, and that is, I'm basically a contrarian. Okay, so here I am. I get in front of their lens to get in their television to tell them that, gee, sometimes things are the opposite of the way they appear. We have a government that was founded where the government was supposed to be open for us to see every bit and facet of it. And yet we've allowed things to flip 180 degrees, where the government is this big secret box that we can't open and we can't be told, and we should be quiet, and there's always a reason, whether it's national security day, or you don't need to know, or you don't have the right, you haven't filed the right document or paper. Meanwhile, for us, for individuals, you and I, who are supposed to be sovereigns and stuff, they're supposed to be able to look, gosh, I'm trying to not use crude words, but everything from every book we take out of the library to every phone call we make, to start, doing all these things that we're supposed to have all our, let's say, privacy revealed, yet they're supposed to sit there and quietly live back behind their "you can't bother us, don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain" thing. And it's not until the people in that lens get up and say, hey, what kind of country, what kind of government do I want for my children? What, do I want to bless my children? Do I want to bless my future generations? Okay, that they may have to get up off their couches. But go ahead.
Well, the government was not meant to restrain the people. The people were meant to restrain the government. That's the whole theory. Not even theory. That's our power. That's our right. That's the order. That's the protocol.
Do you think it's years of conditioning by the televised box that's got us to believe that we can't make a difference?
It is indeed years of conditioning, and it's, I used to think it was strange when people said don't watch your television, but look, that television, that medium is extremely subtle, and you know, the media in this country is it's not what you hear that's news, it's what you don't hear that's really the news.
Yeah, and the other thing that catches me about the media, and I always tell the people to tune into this show because maybe they'll hear something they won't hear on Fox and CNN, is that if you do flip through all the channels, and ask you folks again, I mean, hey, you can turn us off right now, flip through the channels, go to the news stations, and see if they're not feeding you all the same story. And doesn't it bother you, the viewer, that no one's doing journalism, no one's doing investigative journalism, no one's telling you something different? You know?
Well, this medium is very powerful, cable and the internet, as we can see how powerful information really can be when it is when the heart of the person that's portraying that or giving out that information doesn't have any hidden agenda. No necessarily advertising dollars are necessary. No, what's the word I'm looking for? People that are hiding behind, you know.
On the high end, I see like collusion that are conspiring to give you a false message. But you're right, many times when we just watch our other presidential candidates, okay, and we see that, gee, they're funded by not only the large banking corporations. Please take the time to go to, I guess it's opensecrets.org. I like that site. They'll actually go and show you where the money's coming from behind candidates, but also see how much of the pharmaceutical interest
special interest was the phrase I was looking for.
That's
special
what I was
interest.
going. Yeah. Because you'll never see them shake the waters there, or you know, allow any of that, whether you want to call it exposure or just brought into light.
Yeah, and as I say, and I've said this in many interviews, the bottom line with America is that America's embarrassed of their God. You know, we have basically a constitution that you know, we're endowed by our Creator. But when you have embarrassment involved, when you have things that have been misconstrued, then you have frozen. Then you have frozen. You've made a nation of rhetoric, a rhetorical nation, as opposed to a nation of substance.
Go with it.
And I see
that lacking also.
That's where we are. That's just it in a nutshell. You know, we're a nation that has learned the art of rhetoric, and there is
It's almost like they're all politicians or they're all attorneys.
Exactly. Well,
It's sad because here we're in New England, and I don't know if you've been in New England long or you've been here before, but recently we had the Patriots, okay, and earlier in this season or whatever, they were caught cheating. You know, and we were more concerned with, you know, gee, whether they won or not, the fact that here are role models that are cheating and are caught cheating, and of course no heads roll, okay. But the fans out there, and some of them probably tune off the show now because I'm saying, you know, some anti, you know, New England Patriots thing. But the fans out there are over there thinking that, oh, well, gee, everybody cheats, it's okay. And that moral shift that we've got in this country, and no, we're not, hopefully it's just this country. I hate to see the whole world, but yeah, I don't see a shifting the way that it's a positive thing. Whereas years ago, I'll just take the boob tube in general. Growing up watching the, you know, Daddy Knows Best, well, now Daddy's a moron. You know, the kids know best, or the what, you know, and it's not that the women are smarter, the men are smarter, but what's happening is how we've changed the portrayal, okay, and how we've changed what we consider baseline morality. Gosh, I'm not going to do baseline morality for them, but it's just something that I noticed, and I noticed it on the boob tube constantly.
Well, you know, you're making a very good point because you're talking about the relationship in a household of the father, and basically you've got the father. Is the father and the mother are supposed to be over their household, and anything out of that order, you got chaos, and you've got children. We're living in a generation where you've got children hitting their parents,
and not just that, and then using
killing their parents.
Well, and then going do. I can use the machine against my parents
and calling 911.
Well, right,
and
to
getting
use
their parents. Yeah.
Hang on one second now, if we could, because this would be good for my viewers.
Sure.
I'm doing a little pause. This makes the editing good.
No problem.
Tell us about Aaron Russo and how it was that you had mentioned to the people before, and I think that'd be really important for my folks. I was fortunate enough to get in front of the people of Sharon Freedom to Fascism on cable so that they could watch it.
You're the man. Oh, I heard about you.
Well, anyway, where I'm going with it is I got to listen to Aaron speak. I never got to meet Aaron personally, but you did. So if you would tell us.
In a nutshell, basically, my motivation, one of the questions that I get a lot is, why are you running for president? What motivated you? And the number one motivation, I was sitting in my computer room, and I had Freedom to Fascism. I had the website up, and I actually got a link on my website, still there to this day, but the the leading motivation for me running for president was to something happened when I listened to Aaron Russo talk, and then the evidence and the way in which he made this glued, hidden evil just exposed it, and made the Constitution, made it make sense, and made the the IRS and the codes and the unapportioned taxes, it all began to just make sense. And that's the reason why I really decided to really run for president, because I said, I can't believe I'm living here, and there's an actual another world that is trying to confuse me, or even not let me become educated about what my rights are and what is really important and what is really, as far as what really matters.
You know what amazed me is when I was listening to you speak, and well, I'll jump back on the Aaron thing. But you said it was like love. When I say love, it was love of the people, of why, why take the time? I mean, why don't you go on living your life, doing your thing, I mean, you can be successful doing anything you want, right? Why take the time to, to try to, whether it's enlighten people or to help people, or at least put up a warning flag and say, hey, everybody, we're getting close to the cliff here, or, the train's coming, it's time to get off the tracks.
Oh, yeah, without question, that's a good point. And I think you're right, that hits it right head on.
Yeah, I think it's just, it's funny, I look at it, and I've never been one who, love the folks. When I say love the folks, I was in sales, and I've done a lot of different things.
Yeah,
and why I say the love part is, it's what motivates me or whatever. It's like love for my family.
Without question,
okay?
yeah.
And I can't, let's say, I can't love my family without once again loving myself and then loving my neighbors.
That's excellent. That's an excellent point.
And, why bother? I mean, why, me? Why do I come up to Concord? Why do I want to meet you? Why do I want to, introduce you to the people of Sharon, okay? It's because they need some of that love.
That's right.
They need to wake up every now and then and shut the box off and go, look, I can either be programmed by Revlon and Madison Avenue, or the Defense Industrial Complex, or maybe the person selling Lunesta,
That's good.
Whatever.
That's an excellent point. That really is, yeah.
Anyway, I'm glad you made it.
Well,
I'm glad you're here.
I commend you for your desire and to want to let your people know what really is going on. I think that it can be heard in your voice. What really.
Trying to save the tribe.
Hey man, keep it up.